Hello English learners and welcome back to another YouTube video. This is Level Up English and my name is Michael. And I'm in a very special place today because I am in Cambridge, however not the Cambridge you might be expecting. I'm in Cambridge in Boston, Massachusetts in the USA. And right behind me here we've got, through the trees somewhere, maybe this way, Harvard Law School. So I've just had a nice walk around Harvard University campus. It's very beautiful and there's a lot to see here, including this nice statue in the center of the park. But because I am here, I thought it would be a very good opportunity to talk about some of my own experiences regarding the differences in British and American English. Now, this isn't exactly going to be a video where I just compare different words or accent or anything like that. And that's because there are so many videos already that talk about these differences. What I want to look at in this video are some of the more subtle differences and the ones that I have noticed as someone from England and ones that have surprised me a bit as well. So I've had many culture shocks since I have been here. And one of them is the fact that everyone here says, "How are you?" We don't do this in England so much. I mean, in England, if someone says, "How are you?" they really want to know how you are. They actually are asking, "How are you? Please tell me about how you're feeling." And in England, you can be quite honest. You can say, "I'm good, I'm bad, whatever." Here in the US, from what I've seen, people ask that and it doesn't really mean anything. It's just a greeting that people say when you see someone for the first time, even total strangers. So it would go something like, "Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you?" Something like that. I've seen that a lot. And you don't really have to say your true feelings. If you do respond with how you feel, that's going to be a little bit weird. And that's the mistake that I made when I first came here, and yeah, people gave me a few weird looks. Another one that I found really strange, it's a very subtle one that many people maybe will not notice, but this is the difference in formality between British English and American English. We do both have the same squirrels though. So generally, British English tends to be a little bit more formal. So we might use slightly more formal vocabulary. One example I've noticed is in cafes where I've been to a lot this week. And in the UK, generally, if you're ordering a coffee, you might say, "Could I please have?" Could I please have? So this word could is fairly polite. It's more polite than can. Can I have is a little bit more informal, very slightly. And another one is the verb here. So in England, we often say have. Could I have a coffee? Here I've noticed people say get. Get has really the same meaning, but it's, in my opinion, a little bit less polite. It's more casual. And I would never say this personally, but I've noticed everyone here says it. So they say, "Could I get a coffee?" or "Can I get a coffee?" To me, it sounds a bit too rude, but it's quite common here. Another one I've heard a lot is people say, "Okay, I'm gonna go for this one." You know, they're pointing for like a muffin or a coffee. "I will go for this one." "I will go for this one." In my British point of view, this feels a little bit rude because I guess you're assuming that there's going to be no problem. You know, "I will have this," and it's 100% guaranteed. For me, that feels a bit weird. I would rather say like, "Could I please have this?" I want to, give them the option, I suppose. And there are some more differences like this. Like generally, we would use the word shall more often in the UK. Like, "I shall go," "I shall have this one." Whereas in the US, they will use will more. "I will have this one." But even in the UK, shall is becoming a little bit less common. And one other thing I've noticed that actually is a bit opposite to what I just said just now. And this is that in the UK, we don't really use these words sir and madam very often. They're very formal, and actually we can be quite casual to strangers in the UK. As you might know, we use words like mate. So if you meet someone on the street, you're likely to say, hi mate, or excuse me mate, or something like that. Very casual to people you don't know. However, one thing that I have noticed here is that people can be quite formal to strangers. For example, a few times I have held the door open for someone else coming in the room, and they would say to me, thank you sir, or excuse me sir, or something like that. And to me this seems quite formal, but I think that's quite common in American English. So there's a good tip for you. In England and the UK, you probably don't need to say sir or madam very much, almost never. However, in America, in the US, you are more likely to be able to use that. When you need to get past someone, you can say, excuse me, sir. Oh, here's a really interesting one that I don't often see people talking about online. So in England, if you want to get some medicine or some painkillers or something like that, you would go to a pharmacy. In American English, as you might know, they like to simplify everything. They like to make things easier to understand. So rather than this word pharmacy, they would use the word drugstore. And I think for me that's quite strange, because drugs in British English, this is kind of a bad thing. This is something that's illegal. So you wouldn't necessarily use that in England. So in England, if you hear people talking about drugs, then these are bad things, illegal drugs that you shouldn't be doing, right? Things that you can be arrested for having. We would use the word medicine for the good kind of drugs. However, in American English, they don't make this distinction so much. They use the word drugs to mean illegal drugs, but also legal and maybe useful drugs that can help you and help you get better as well. It's very common here to see on the signs, on stores, on the shops, it will say drugs in big capital letters. And I think for most people here, it's not a big deal. But for me, that's quite shocking. It looks like something that should be illegal, you know. This next difference I've noticed is one that I just used right now, and you may have heard this before. And this is the difference between present perfect tense and past simple tense. And both of them are used in American and British English. However, for some uses, Americans tend to prefer using only past simple tense. So they might say, for example, I lost my wallet. I lost my wallet. And in England, in British English, you're more likely to say, I have lost my wallet. It's a small difference, but again, I think it's that formality. I think present perfect sounds perhaps a little bit more formal, but also it does have a slight meaning change as well. I lost my wallet. We don't really know when it happened. It might have happened years ago, or it might have happened just now. If you say, I have lost my wallet, then probably it happened quite recently, and it means your wallet is still lost, right? So it's a small difference, but it doesn't matter which one you use. You know, wherever you go in the world, you can use both. This next one is a really practical tip, and this is one that has confused me a bit already on my trip. And honestly, this is one of the rare occasions where I prefer the American way of saying it. Because when you go into a building with multiple floors, multiple stories, in American English, they will say the bottom one is the first floor, then you have the second floor, the third floor. However, in British English, in Britain, we start one higher, I suppose. So the bottom floor, we call it the ground floor, and the first floor will be the one above the ground floor. So basically, the first floor in the UK would be the second floor in the USA. And that's really confusing, and I do prefer the American way, but of course, I'm used to the British way. So just keep that in mind. If someone gives you directions, it's on the second floor, think about what country you're in. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching my short video today on the differences between American and British English. I hope something has been new for you, and I hope you've learnt something. And if you have, leave a like and a comment down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye for now.